I'll be focusing on applications in flexible polyurethane foam. So I have this fabulous map that Chris uses in these presentations very frequently. It shows a range of densities and hardnesses and really covers a lot of different applications that you can see in the polyurethane industry. Not just flexible foam, but for example, you can see higher densities and higher hardness. You can find extrusion, F-rim, and you can go as soft as and low density as Slabstock foam, molded foam, and other areas in between like instrument panels, steering wheels, and I have a couple of samples I'll be able to pass around as we go through the presentation so you can see in your hands what we've been talking about. So first I'll just paint a picture of the difference between polyester and polyether polyols. Not necessarily how they're made because we've already covered that, or at least the back end, but we'll talk a little bit more about what applications these are supposed to use in. So starting with polyester polyols, it's much easier to control pore size, which Dimitri already talked about is very important in filters. And so polyester polyols are often very useful in this application. They also have great mechanical properties. They have better oil and chemical resistance, so depending on the material that the foam is used for end application, it may be better to go with polyester versus polyether. They're generally tougher and more rigid as well. When looking at polyether polyols, you have higher hydrolytic stability. So if you've ever driven in an old car, maybe, you know, the first one that your parents gave you when you were in high school, if you look at the headliners, sometimes there's a fabric that kind of sags and hangs there. And part of the reason why is because in the past, it was adhered to polyester polyols. And over time, they degrade and you would start to see that sag. More often now, I believe you'll see, well, a lot of polyester, but that is the explanation for why you see a little bit of that sag. Polyether polyols also have on average, lower viscosity, which makes it much easier for processing, and they can be cheaper or lower cost. And now I'll talk about the differences between Slabstock and molded foam. Dimitri's already gone through a good explanation of how these different foams are made, but some key characteristics of the foam itself. When looking at molded foam, you will see skin in the external skin. Because of the skin, you don't have as much high airflow. That can be problematic in some applications and not necessarily in others. But one of the strong advantages of molded foam is being able to have highly complex shapes without producing a lot of scrap, which, as we've already mentioned, is extremely important in this industry. More often than not, they are used in systems, and that essentially means that all the components that are used, polyols, isocyanates, catalysts, surfactants, they're all pre-made into an A side and a B side, rather than buying them individually and controlling them yourself while making the foam. I'll just pass along this example. So for Slabstock foam, generally speaking, you'll see rectangular cut pieces from the bungs that you've seen in some of the other videos. There usually aren't any skin, of course, because it's cut from the core inside of the bun. And there's a lot of processing and formulation flexibility. That's noted because they are usually sold in components or are made with components rather than systems. You're able to control how much polyol, how much catalyst, however much you want to be able to keep the characteristics of the foam. A lot of intricate shapes would result in high scrap rates, and that's why the molded foam can be more advantageous in some areas. But overall, Slabstock you'll see being used for mattresses, headliners, like I've mentioned before. Molded foam can be oftentimes much smaller items. And now we'll move on to the three main types of foam that you'll see being made in your day-to-day life. So I'll focus first on high resiliency foam. They have a high ball rebound. We've learned in testing that when you drop the ball onto the foam and see how high it comes back. So greater than 50%, relatively bouncy. The densities can range from low to high, 1.8, 4 ppf. The support factor is very important in high resiliency foam, with this expectation that your foam will have an increase in resistance as you apply more force to the foam. It's great for cushioning, comfort, support, and durability. Another advantage to high resiliency foam, it tends to have a higher flammability resistance than conventional foam. And one disadvantage would be lower airflow than what you see in conventional foam. Now we'll move on to viscoelastic foam. For those of you not in the industry, that's memory foam. I'm sure that a lot of you have seen fabulous commercials where you see somebody pressing their hand into the foam, leaving a handprint, and it slowly disappears. You've probably seen that in many commercials and ads. Initially, viscoelastic foam started with NASA, providing support for astronauts while lifting off to relieve pressure. But over time, it entered into the bedding industry and has become an extremely important foam type within this industry. In fact, in the past, when this type of foam was made before it was highly popular, people used to throw it out as scrap and say, "Oh no, we made bed foam today." So it's amazing what applications foam can be used in, and you start off thinking, "Oh, this is probably as far as we can go," and turned viscoelastic sheets into one of the most important parts of the bedding industry right now. Now, conventional foam is the last of the three that I'm going to mention because it doesn't have as many strong characteristics. It's most definitely the bread and butter of the three different types of foam, most common. The density can range as low as 0.75, possibly even lower, all the way up to 3. It can go higher as well. It doesn't necessarily have high resiliency. It doesn't have slow recovery like you see in viscoelastic foam. It can range from soft to firm for various applications. And it has a more linear resistance to applied loads than HR foam does, and as mentioned, highest volume type. Now we'll move into actual applications, which is the funnest part, right? So now we're moving into bedding, and we'll start with residential mattresses. So they can have many layers. It can be as low as one whole just singular block of foam, or it can have 14, 15, 20 layers. It really just depends on the design and the purpose. Inner springs can also be used in combination with foam, and all of these layers are really designed to provide different types of feel and different functions. So we'll go a little deeper into each type of layer. But before we do that, we'll talk about some of the important characteristics of designing mattresses. Comfort is an absolute key characteristic, as well as durability and lack of flammability. Of course, comfort is important. You're sleeping about a third of your day away on it, and so you want to make sure that you're extremely comfortable while doing that. Durability is very important because as time has gone on, people have put more time and energy into selecting their mattresses and really understanding what they're buying and paying a good price for it. And so they don't want to see some sort of sagging over time. They want to make sure that they have a quality mattress that will last for the amount of time that it's expected to. And for flammability, there are all sorts of regulations that require that mattresses not be a danger to your home. Starting with the base foam layer, this is generally speaking conventional foam, though it can be HR. It's essentially supporting weight and takes up quite a bit of space, the bottom portion of the mattress. Transition layers are often used to help distribute that feeling when you go from one soft layer of a mattress to the harder layer. You don't want to feel an immediate difference between the two, and so you have transition layers to really help you melt into your mattress smoothly. Comfort layers as described by the name, of the comfort and support. This layer can be 2 to 4 inches in thickness, and generally speaking are viscoelastic or high resiliency foams. And for quilting layers, it's not all the time foam. It can be made out of fiber as well. They're usually very thin, an inch or less. Moving on to toppers, some people like to have their own they like to customize their mattresses and have the ability to add a little bit more comfort to the mattress that they currently have. Toppers are generally speaking viscoelastic, so you could have one for HR or some other type of foam as well. They range from 2 to 4 inches, so I think I've seen one that was 5 inches once in the store. And can contain other pieces like gel and PCM, like we've mentioned before, PCM being phase change material for cooling. All of these different layers can be added to your mattress, and it's all just positive towards comfort. Moving on to pillows, preferences for your pillow from person to person can range quite a bit. Right? Some people like hard pillows, some like soft, Goldilocks. Right? She just doesn't know how to decide on anything. They can have various shapes as well for ergonomic reasons, and so you'll find pillows that can be shredded up pieces of viscoelastic or conventional just molded visco. And so because of these different types of shapes, it can be very advantageous to do molded foams instead of trying to cut really comfortable shapes out of Slabstock foam. We can move on to medical mattresses now. This foam, one of the large targets for this is to relieve pressure points. Back in the day, people had to move the people in hospitals and make sure readjust them so they don't get blood clots and bed sores, and that's still done today. But foam mattresses are very helpful in relieving those pressure points. It's also very important to have beds that are impervious to liquids, so they can be used from person to person and be cleaned properly. This can harm breathability, which may lower comfort. Another medical application would be medical positioners. One thing that's interesting to note is one of the additives that is mentioned in the past, which are antimicrobials, which help prevent different bacteria and mold from growing, so people can use their medical positioners for the amount of time that they need before they dispose it when they're done. Now we can move on to furniture and seating applications. So oftentimes you'll see a combination of fiber and foam when looking at seat cushions in your couches. The fiber is very helpful for initial softness and provides smooth corners for your cushions. If you were to take just a solid piece of foam and set it inside of the fabric that you see in couch cushions, you may have a bit more of a boxy look to it, and so the fiber also helps with that. Foam is what provides a large amount of support and durability, long-lasting, much more useful than fiber alone. Sofas and stationary chairs. Foam is the total thickness of the cushion ends up being around 6 inches thick, and are a bit firmer than what you would think on the top layer of the mattress. So some of the critical characteristics that I'll list are durability. Clearly you're going to be using this couch for quite a bit of time, and you don't want to see it start to dip and sag over time. You also have a very high need for consistent ISD or hardness of each individual cushion. You don't want to end up having your customers saying, well, I prefer this side because the cushion's a little bit firmer or a little bit softer. For motion chairs, there's usually less room for more cushioning, so there's a higher reliance on high resiliency foams and high density foams. That way you're able to use less foam and still have the proper amount of support needed to have your customer comfortable. In contract seating, you often see this in schools, healthcare buildings, where you have masses of chairs that you need to buy. And one of the most important characteristics in this application is, of course, comfort, but consistency and quality. it's very easy to see differences when you're supposed to have an exact replica and have hundreds of them. Durability is also very important because it's high volume use. Office seating, similar to other applications that I've mentioned, don't have a lot of room for the comforting foam. And so once again, high density, high support factor, these are all very important in office seating. Additionally, a lot of times you'll see on your armrest this interesting feel. It's a tough skin, but underneath it you feel a really soft switch to it. That's called integral skin, and it's a technology that it's a molded technology, and the external portion, the skin, is very tough and very strong, but underneath it provides a little bit of support and gives you a bit more of a luxurious feel. Now we can move on to carpet cushion. So some of the advantages of having carpeting cushion is providing comfort and support for the people who are walking over it. It also adds to noise and vibration dampening. It assists in insulation for buildings as well. Another advantage to having carpet cushioning is a little bit of extra airflow. So if you're cleaning the carpets and it's a little damp, it can actually dry before mold starts to develop. The airflow is very useful. It also enhances the durability of the carpet itself, which is very important, as you expect the carpet to last for quite an amount of time. Durability is absolutely critical when it comes to carpet cushioning. Oftentimes you'll see much higher densities used in high traffic areas where a lot of people are walking all the time. That could be hallways or busy buildings. Lower densities can be used in residential homes for a more plush feel. Now we'll move on to different types of cushioning. There's bonded or rebond cushioning. If you've ever replaced carpet in your home, you've probably seen this multicolored foam that's underneath your carpet. It tends to be higher density and a quarter to a half an inch thick. Rebond is really one of the impressive recycling success stories of the polyurethane world. Scrap coming from manufacturers, post-consumers, it all gets put back, or quite a large bit of it is put back into Rebond. In fact, you can actually take Rebond and rebond it again, which is very impressive. In fact, one other advantage to Rebond versus Prime, which I'll get to the next slide, where you make the foam fresh. Rebond cushioning is actually considered a higher quality and higher performance foam. The Prime cushion is made like Slabstock foam, is relatively high hardness, and often uses brass polyol in order to have that enhanced hardness. It's not quite as durable, as I mentioned before, as Rebond, and so it's often used in low traffic areas. The last cushioning that I'll speak about is Frothed Cushion. I believe Dimitri gave a great slide showing the process for frothing. This is when you take material and mechanically froth it with air into it, sort of like a meringue pie, and is placed onto the backing of carpet. One of the advantages of this is that you don't have to install a first layer and then the carpet, and so this is very helpful in large commercial building areas. Moving into transportation, there's quite a bit of polyurethanes used in this area. So we'll start with seating. In the automotive world, both comfort and safety are extremely important. Foam can absorb vibrations from the car better than springs, which is really advantageous. It also keeps people, the foam is also able to keep people in a specific position, and this is really important for all of these safety features that a car has. All of the design that goes around safety for people assumes that you'll be in the correct position, and the seat helps assure that. For instruments and door panels within the car, it's very important that the external skin remains adhered to the substrate and the panel for safety. That way, it assures that there's no flying pieces or debris that harms passengers during the accident. Steering wheels are also users of integral skin. As I mentioned before, the hard, tough exterior has great durability. You're going to be using the car every single day, rubbing your hands over it, and so you want to have that strong durability on the outside, but still have the luxurious soft feel from the foam underneath. We also have headliners, which I've mentioned before. So one interesting concept for headliners is how it's actually produced. You take a thin foam layer and set it underneath an open flame, melt it just right, and then place it and adhere it to the fabric. And so pore size is extremely important in this application because you don't want to have any pinholes. If there are small, slightly larger holes in all the other holes in that area, you can have the foam actually catch on fire and burn out, which stops production. You have to reset, and can really be a time waster. And so polyester, polyols are often used for the pore control side. Noise, vibration, and harshness reduction is very useful to use polyurethane foams in this application. As I mentioned before, it's great for reducing vibration and sound transferring through the car. This foam can be viscoelastic or HR. It can be molded into different locations, as you see here. It's great for its performance, and it's also very lightweight, which is important for low gas use in the car. Energy absorption foams. These are very important for safety within the automotive industry. So the foam is placed in empty cavities and other areas within the car to absorb energy on impact, which helps keep the customer safe. Now we'll go into technical products and specialty foams. We can start with footwear. So foam can be used both for inner cushioning and also shoe soles. Polyurethanes can be. The foam is often used for inner cushioning. It has great durability, very firm. It provides a lot of comfort. You can use high resiliency foams for great support, or you can use viscoelastic foams for a really nice soft. Polyurethane foam is also very useful in packaging. It's great, it's lightweight, it's flexible, and it can hold things in place. Foam can be really great for filters. They're often polyester for the pore size control. Polyurethane foams can also be used for sponges. More often than not, when you get your very inexpensive foam at the dollar store for sponges, you'll probably see more cellulose sponges. But there are some applications where you'll see polyurethane foams as well. Polyester foams are often used for coarse and abrasive seals, while polyether foams are very helpful for softer sponges. Some of these applications are really interesting. So I actually have a polyurethane sponge, but I also have this sponge right here, which when running it underwater, in hot water, it becomes very soft, and in cold water, it's very abrasive. So it's a multi-use scrubber. Energy absorption being a great characteristic of polyurethane foam. And so there's other applications besides just the automotive industry that uses this. We have phone cases, sports padding, a lot of different applications. And one really important characteristic about this foam that people focus on is temperature insensitivity. Of course, some foams will become very hard in cold temperatures, so you don't want to have a foam for a helmet, and when it's cold outside and it's close to snowing, all of a sudden it becomes very hard and isn't quite as good at absorbing energy from impact. Health and beauty applications are also important. Reticulated foam that was mentioned in the past can be used in different types of wound care. Antimicrobial additives will also be used. My personal favorite is the cosmetics and applicator pads. I use these every day. So there really are just a large number of applications that polyurethanes can be used in. And I'll let you stay up here and I can talk about our last slide. We have novelty and specialty. So these are kind of the everything else's. You have your football, earplugs, cheese heads. I have a few other examples, but there really are a lot of applications that polyurethanes can be used. So next time we have our PFA, we might have new applications already opening up for polyurethanes. And that's the end. Thank you for your patience.